Hi guys, welcome to the Challenge Podcast, the show dedicated to transforming your life. I'm Coach Steve.
And I'm Coach Helen, and we're excited to bring you the best information on exercise, nutrition, mindset and health. Let's get on with the show.
What's up guys, Coach Steve here and welcome back to another episode of the Challenge Podcast. In today's episode, I'm joined with one of Max's top 10 finalists, Paul Kinahan. Paul, welcome to the Challenge Podcast.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Mate, I'm so excited chatting with you about your experiences with the January Max's Challenge. But Paul, would you like to start by telling us a little bit about yourself? Maybe where you're from, what you do for work, and who is Paul?
Sure. So basically, I'm originally from Ireland. I guess you can tell that from the accent. And I moved out here about 17 years ago. So I currently live in Ipswich in Queensland and quite like it there. Currently, I work as a correctional supervisor at Remand Correctional Centre in Wacol in Brisbane. Quite challenging work, but I really enjoy it. And currently, I have 3 kids. They keep me going quite a lot and probably one of the reasons why I try to keep fit nowadays.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Paul, my understanding is the January challenge was your second challenge that you completed with us. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
So from here, I actually wanted to speak a little bit about why you chose to start the challenge. So can you speak a little bit about, why you chose to start the September challenge last year and then why you chose to do another challenge here in January?
Sure. So the September challenge, it was really down to the fact that I was starting to put on a bit of weight. I was getting really lazy. My job currently at the correctional centre, it's not the most physically demanding. So I do a lot of desk work and stuff like that. So I was finding that I wasn't as fit as I used to be. My kids would come round, they'd want to play soccer, go out to the park, run about and stuff. And I was kind of struggling with the whole emphasis of keeping up with them, And I guess like for a guy that's approaching mid-40s and stuff, you got to be in a position to decide, if you're going to continue with this lifestyle or you're going to change it. And for me, my kids really opened up my eyes to the fact that, I'm not dead yet. So really, I needed to get off the couch. I needed to do something. I needed to put a goal in place. And then I heard about the Max Challenge. And basically through friends of mine that I found out about it. And then I spoke to a guy called Chris Farden. Probably know who he is. He was in the top 10 of the September challenge. And he basically put me on track to the Max Challenge. And from there, I signed up and entered into it. And yeah, that was basically the start of it.
And then here we are with your amazing result, getting in the top 10 in January.
So with the September challenge, I was lucky enough able to make the top 50. So that was a real incentive. And yeah, obviously my goal then was to do the January challenge and make the top 10. So I was lucky enough to fulfill that goal as well.
And here we are. Well, Paul, my first follow-up question is speaking about the differences between September and January. So in September, you got in the top 50. That's an amazing achievement. And then in January, you got in the top 10. Can you speak a little bit about what kind of things you did differently? Let that be, you were more dedicated to the training, you were more prepared for meal prep. Like what differences or what different approaches did you take between those two different challenges?
Look, I think the main emphasis on the difference between the two challenges was that the September challenge, I didn't have the whole support network that I had in January. Essentially, from the January challenge, we had a support network of, a number of top 10 challengers from previous Max challenges. There was more of an emphasis on people there being able to answer your questions when it was getting tough. And it does get tough. Be under no illusion. When you decide to take up this challenge, it's not easy. And when you want to gain something in life that's difficult, or set a goal, it's not going to be easy. So surrounding yourself with people with experience, people that know the challenge, people that have been there, that's really important. And I think that's where, a couple of the ambassadors came in for me and being able to drive me that more, give me more of an incentive, help me a lot more. And unfortunately, I had to lean on them a couple of times and that was tough. But that was probably one of the main differences between the two challenges was the support network, which I would advocate to anyone that's taking up a challenge. You need the support. You need people there that are able to motivate you, keep you going. Because, when you try to do it on your own, some days you just get up out of bed and you go, oh, I don't think I can do this today. I'm just feeling flat. And you talk yourself into that kind of a mindset. So you got to have positive people around you. And I certainly believed, and from my experience, that the people that I had around me certainly made a massive impact into me successfully completing the challenge. And coming into the top 10. Absolutely, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, Paul, can you speak a little bit about how you may have approached some of the other challenges in our community to, maybe have that mentorship or have that support network? Like, what did you do? Did you just openly contact them online, or did you try to email them? Like, what steps did you take to create that support network?
So for me, I was lucky enough, I met Chris, and Chris had been a previous Max Challenger, and he was also in the challenge that year in September. So he was able to give me a lot of support as well. And through him, then we kind of incorporated what was called the A team. So we had a number of other challenges that got involved with people like Nerily Black, with people like Stace Bell, Monique, and Early Timmermans. And all these people, we just called ourselves the A team. We got into going to boot camps on Wednesday evenings here in Rebuld, Maine, which is in Springfield. It's a new kind of establishment. And we do a boot camp there on Wednesday night. And then alternatively, the following Wednesday night, we would go to Manly. And, that really took off towards the end of the first challenge. And in the second challenge, then we had a number of new challengers come on board. And it really became something where people would, look forward to going there, get a good training session in, have a chat with these people that had a previous experience, get a good kind of a knowledge base of where they were going. And if we needed any help and support, these people were there. And for me, that was integral to completing a successful Max Challenge.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's so interesting where over the past September challenge and then even the May challenge last year, there's a recurring theme of community. And sure, the challenge or myself, we can write, great programs and nutrition plans, give you all the information, but it comes down to you actually doing it. And then what's going to make you do it is the support around you. And a consistent theme, even in these podcasts, if you're listening to this and you listen to a few other podcasts, is this boot camp that's coming out of with Chris and Nerily and the rest of the A team, is that you guys are all supporting each other and you're getting these amazing results. So if you maybe not in Queensland, that's okay. Can you reach out to other people in your state to create something similar? And that could be simply jumping onto our Facebook support group and searching for locals in your area. And we have messenger group chats on the forum. You can reach out to people to find something similar. And hey, you could even chat with someone on the other side of the country and build a friendship with them who may be in a similar situation to yourself. And it's awesome that you've had such an amazing result, Paul. And yeah, okay, sometimes you have to lean on other people, and I'm sure people lent on you as well. But it's all about finding people who are in a similar situation to you to support that. So unfortunately, we don't always have that situation in our lives. And if you think about your own life, maybe 5 years ago, where maybe you weren't in the best situation to cook your own food or the best situation to exercise, or maybe you were put in situations where it was common to drink on the weekend or drink every day or to have takeaway every lunchtime because that's what your work is. Sometimes our environment and our social lives really dictate, our behaviors, and then that dictates our outcome. So we have to override that sometimes by having a social group and a community like you've created, Paul, and that's awesome to see, and you should be so proud to be part of that group. At the moment, are you guys still running your boot camps on Wednesdays? Is that still happening, Paul?
No, so unfortunately, due to COVID-19, there's a number of restrictions in place. So that had to be basically disbanded because of the rules here in Queensland with social distancing and groups and stuff like that. So we're hoping that in the not too distant future that we can all get together again, start training and start focusing on the May challenge. Especially there's a number of people that are certainly interested in coming down and training with all of the guys. And moving forward, fingers crossed that these restrictions start to get lifted soon so we can get back on track. And I know the newer challengers would certainly be looking for this boot camp to obviously encourage them. And I guess with the gyms being closed at the moment, it is a source of an activity they can look at and learn at what kind of different exercises they can do and be put in place, to move forward with the Max Challenge.
Yeah. So Paul, if someone was listening to this and they may be really close to that Manly area that you were speaking about, and they wanted to join you guys in the boot camp and, restrictions are lifted, how would they approach you or the rest of the A team to be part of that? Like, what would you invite them to do?
So essentially on the Max website, the website on Facebook, you can jump on there and the guys are always posting there. And, people like Chris and Nerily and Early as well, they're always putting posts on when we meet up and what a great night we had. And all you got to do is just drop us a line, basically say you're interested in coming down, I mean, every journey starts with a small step. So if you're interested in coming down, just give us a bell. We all had to start somewhere, you know. We formed this group eventually, but at the start, we were all on our own. So, I mean, if you're on your own, you want, you know, support, you just want to just jump up and grab an hour and a half's training. And it's good training. Seriously, it's a good training session. You'll really be puffed after it, and it's well worth it. Totally gets the endorphins going, and you will have fun. And fun is basically one of the main incentives that we should have from this challenge. If it's fun doing it, it's easier to do it, if that makes sense. So drop us a line, come down and train with us. We're friendly people. We've got lots of advice. We've got lots of support. Yeah, please just drop us a line and come down. You'll have fun. Honestly, you will have fun.
Yeah, so good. Just drop them a line. And you guys are warm and welcoming people. You'll welcome anyone into your group, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody from any walks of life, whoever you are, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we all had to start somewhere. At the end of the day, I was pretty lethargic. I wasn't fit. I was overweight, you know, and we all start somewhere. So if you want to start, come down, give us a bell. We'll support you. 100% will support you. We've got a friendly atmosphere and you will have fun. Guaranteed 100%. You may not think it at the time because it's pretty full on, but I can guarantee you, you will come away from it smiling.
So good. Paul, from here, I wanted to chat a little bit about some of the obstacles and barriers and challenges that you may have to overcome to achieve such an amazing result like you did. You briefly spoke about your work environment where, you know, maybe you were sitting down quite a lot, maybe at a desk quite a bit, and then I'm not too sure of your role, like maybe it's a little bit of shift work and such. Could you speak a little bit about some of the challenges you may have had to overcome, such as being physically inactive while you're at work for most of the day?
So from the Max Challenge, say let's look at before the Max Challenge, I do a lot of, you know, admin work. So I'm at a computer for a fair length of the day. I don't get out as much as I used to get out onto the floors. Don't get to walk around the prison as much as I used to get. So from there, I don't get a lot of exercise. And that's for 11 hours a day. It's a considerable amount of time. Joining the Max Challenge basically gave me an outlet into exercising and getting a routine. And now I kind of try to make that conscious effort for, you know, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour during the day at work to get out and just have a walk around or just get away from that whole office environment. And, you know, something like that, it's good for you just to get that break away because it's all down to a healthy body, a healthy mind and everything like that. And for me, you know, I've had a fair few challenges from the September challenge to the January challenge. I had a lot of stuff that impacted on me personally. And yeah, it was tough, you know, and after I finished the challenge in December, even though I made the top 50 with some personal issues that I had, things went very much downhill for me. And I probably lost my sense of focus on where I was going. And I probably ate too much and drank too much. And from there, I had a diagnosis of depression and, you know, things weren't going so great. But fortunately for me, and I spoke about this earlier, I have a good support network. And these people, especially two of them came on board, kind of got me out of that kind of dark situation. And I focused again on starting the challenge in January. I'm kind of lucky in the aspect that I do have that support. I'm lucky in the aspect that, you know, I was able to get myself out of that kind of black hole, if you want to say it, and have something to focus on. And, you know, for me, it's important to have a healthy, active lifestyle. It's important to be able to eat healthy because it goes hand in hand with mental health. Exercise, eating healthy gives you a more of a fit mind. And, you know, for me, it certainly helps with depression. And I think that if people do have issues with mental health and stuff like that, especially depression and anxiety, it's important to surround yourself with positive people. And it's important to get out off the couch and exercise because you get into a routine of doing nothing and it's not good for you. So I was one of the lucky people. I had a good support network. I had people that cared. And I then had something to focus on. And the Max Challenge gave me that kind of a focus because at that time I didn't have many goals or interests. So yeah, it certainly turned things around. And when you have a goal in your life and when you have support, things aren't as hard then as they used to be. And, you know, it makes stuff a little bit easier. And trying to get out of bed in the morning becomes easier. And trying to focus on stuff that's motivational, that becomes easier too. So all in all, for me, the Max Challenge was more so one of those godsends again that got me out of that horrible routine of trying to isolate myself and, wallow in the depths of depression. So, yeah, look, if people do suffer from, depression and anxiety and stuff like that, and they're thinking about, get exercising and getting a little bit fitter, look at the Max Challenge. That's something that helped me. And when I say it helped me a lot. And it proved with the results that I managed to make the top 10 that, you can achieve your goals and stuff like that. And it's not necessarily about making the top 10 or the top 50. It's about educating yourself and how to eat healthy, about getting that physical exercise that helps with depression, it helps with anxiety, and getting that support network as well that also helps in that. So essentially, at the end of the day, look at the Max Challenge as something that could help you with depression or with anxiety.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm going to invite people to go and listen to the podcast that I did with Chris Forden, late last year. And
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's so important for, especially guys, and we're really biased here with guys, for mental health, is to reach out for help. And Paul, it sounds like you were in a very fortunate position to have a good network around you. But I'm sure there's many people who start the challenge or are listening to this who really don't have that mental support network around them. Maybe they're in a very negative environment. Maybe they're in a very tough and challenging environment. And maybe that environment is the reason why they're unhappy with the way that they look right now. So here's my plea to you is to ask for help. If you are struggling, reach out to somebody and ask for help. And that could be as simple as going onto our Facebook support group and just writing a short post and say, hey, I'm not feeling too great. Is someone available to chat with? And I'm sure there'll be loads of people, guys and girls, who put their hands up and will message you and we'll have a chat with you about anything to do with fitness and health, or other things such as how's your life going? How's your family going? How's your friendship going? Those sorts of things. So if you're listening to this and you're not feeling too great right now, and it happens to everybody, even let's use myself as an example. When gyms closed, which were my outlet, I went into a mini depressive state, and now I'm a lot less active than I was, and that probably just feeds it all. So I'm lucky I have a good support network around me, and I ask for help, and I'm okay, and Paul's okay now. And if you're not feeling good, it's okay to ask for help, and I highly encourage it. Now, Paul, just to, change the topic slightly, now I'd like to go through a little bit of a Q&A just to get to know you a little bit better, okay? So I've got a bunch of questions here in front of me, and it'll be loads of fun, all right? So first question here, Paul, is what's your favorite exercise to do?
Deadlifts.
Deadlifts? So good. What type of deadlifts? Are you a traditional deadlift? Do you like the sumo deadlift or a trap bar deadlift? What type of deadlift?
For me, it's just traditional deadlifts. I enjoy the whole feeling after the exercise. It just exercises most of the body parts. And yeah, it's one of those exercises where you walk away and you've exercised.
So good. So good. I think a common fear with deadlifts is that I'm going to hurt my back. So my first question about the deadlifts is, how did you learn how to deadlift? And then next, did you experience any aches and pains while you were completing your deadlifts?
So basically, for me, to learn how to do the deadlift properly, I went onto the Max Challenge website where it showed all the different techniques and how to do the different exercises and stuff. So for me, I went through that and made sure that I was doing the correct process in lifting the weight, and started off with a light weight and then worked my way up. I'm lucky enough that I didn't injure myself or end up with any strains or sprains from it. But for me, it's about learning the technique first and then adding the weight to it. And that's something that's always worked for me.
So good. Next is cardio. Are you a fan of cardio, or do you have a love-hate relationship with it?
Oh, look, I come from a line of sprinters, so we don't do much cardio. And for that, I'm not a lover of it at all. However, I don't mind cycling. So that was my outlet for cardio. When I was at the gym, I jump onto the bike and, do 10 or 15 Ks. Now that the gyms are closed, I try and jump on my own bicycle at home and do maybe 5 or 10 Ks. And that's really my cardio outlet.
Yeah. The next question here is, what's your favorite muscle to flex?
So currently it's my bicep. I do enjoy flexing that. It seems to have gotten bigger over a period of time, which isn't a bad thing. Everybody likes to have a good set of guns. So I think mine are relatively okay. So yeah, I'll stick with that.
So good. When you're training or exercising, do you listen to any music?
Yes, I do. So I've got a whole host of music on my phone on Apple Music. So I try to listen to some kind of, I just download random gym routine training music and listen to that, something with a good pump just to get the body going. And I find that works a treat.
Yeah, so good. Now talking about food, what was your favorite dinner while you were completing the challenge?
Look, my favorite dinner is, and I always stick to it, is steak and two veg. That's how I deal with things. It's always been from a traditional Irish home to being on the Max Challenge. If I get steak and two veg, I'm a happy man. I've got a smile on my face. So yeah, I'll stick with that.
So good. When the challenge was over, what was your first meal once the challenge finished?
I think the first bad meal that I had might have been a hot dog from Costco. It was horrible.
It was horrible.
It was really bad, really bad. So yeah, don't follow in my footsteps, please.
All right, Paul, meal prep. Were you a fan of meal prep?
Not at the start. At the start, it felt like a whole lot of work. It was something I wasn't used to. And like most humans, I hate change. So for me, basically, it took me a couple of weeks to get into that mindset, and the irony is that once you do get into the mindset, it becomes really second nature. So I used to meal prep on a Sunday night, get it ready for the whole week. And it took me about 3-4 weeks to get into that mindset. But once I got there, yeah, no issues at all. And it became easier. And now I kind of do it frequently. So it certainly helps. Once you get into the routine, it's easy. It's just a matter of getting yourself there. So you got to focus on what you want to achieve. And if you want to do a meal, a prep, you want to get it all out for the week. You want to have more time because you got more, because when you're working, you have to be efficient, with your time. And some days are more hectic than others. So when you do meal prep, you do have that little bit of extra time every day. So I would advise it. It makes the challenge so much easier. And, just grabbing stuff out of the fridge is so much easier than having to make stuff every day. So absolutely, meal prepping is a go. It's a must. You have to do it. You have to get used to it anyway.
Very good. Paul, last couple of questions here. The shred bars, were you a fan of the shred bars?
For me, I'm not a massive fan of shred bars. I'm not a massive fan of basically chocolate and stuff like that anyway. So not a huge fan, but there's all alternatives as well. For me, my alternative was 20 grams of almonds in the morning snack. So that is always something that I more so enjoyed than the actual shred bars themselves. Having said that, I do get feedback from probably, I don't know, I'm not being sexist here, more women than men, that they actually enjoy the shred bars a lot more than I would. So yeah, it comes down to individual taste at the end of the day, I guess.
Yeah. What about protein? Were you taking the Max's protein powders?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure, which was important. So I had protein and creatine and L-glutamine as well, and the Beta Pump pre-workout. So all that stuff is really important. The protein is really good for, building up those exhausted muscles. And I have to admit, the pre-workout is awesome. When I first started in September of last year, I was amazed because I used to have that pre-workout from years ago, which was banned. And I have to admit, the Beta Pump, it gives you a really good boost. If you're not feeling like training, take a scoop. 20 minutes later, you're ready to train. It gives you a good boost. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Let's talk about flavors. What was your favorite flavor of Beta Pump?
For me, it was the Rainbow Bust. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. It really hit the mark. And I can't recommend Beta Pump enough. It really gives you a good kick. It is. It's good stuff,
So good. Paul, last question here is about advice. And you've given loads of advice throughout this entire interview. But if someone came to you and they wanted to start getting fit and healthy, or they just started the challenge and they wanted to get an amazing result like you have achieved, what advice would you give them to start their journey?
Well, first and foremost, the biggest one single point of advice that I would give would be just get yourself some support. Do not try to do it on your own. Some people can, but most people, they need support. Get yourself, an ambassador, or get yourself somebody that's also doing the challenge as well. That whole supporting is integral to completing a successful challenge because, as I stated earlier, and I'll just reemphasize that again, that when it comes down to it, there is days where you just don't want to do anything. And it's easy if you're on your own to talk yourself out of it. But when you got people around you supporting you and stuff, those people keep you going through the hard times, through the dark times, through the times that you don't want to do stuff. So if there's one piece of advice I can say is get some support, which is And where it's really good, if go on to the Max's site or the Max's page, as to say, on Facebook, and you'll see, a number of different people around in your local areas and stuff. And there's heaps of ambassadors, heaps, with all this experience, all this know-how, all this information. Just bounce it off them. See if you can join up with them for a training session. See if there's other people around. Look at stuff that we do here in Queensland, like the boot camps and stuff with the A-team. All options that are there, but support, get yourself some support. For me, it's integral. If you want to get the results, getting into the top 10, get yourself some people to support you. It's the one way to go.
That's awesome. Get yourself some support. Paul, I want to thank you so much for being part of the Challenge podcast. You should be so proud of such an amazing result that you've achieved. And I know that you're going to go and help so many people in the challenge and outside of the challenge to improve their fitness and health. So, Paul, for that, I thank you.
Thank you too, Steve. Thanks for talking. Thanks for having me here today. Thank you.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you like the show, share it with a friend or leave us a review on iTunes to help us spread the good word.
See you next time.